We started in the Nilchik and spent the night there. Then we went to Homer and we put it on in the morning for the grade school kids, in the afternoon for the high school kids, and at night for the community. And that was in the old school, the first one, well,
on
the second
bottom of
one
the
as
hill,
you come
right?
into school.
And that was a dance concert, or?
That was it was a dance rehearsal, and it had to do with Fiddler on the Roof. And I heard that they were going to do it, and so I became a member of the dance group. And because
Was that your first
Because I
tevye?
had a beard, and she said, "You make a great tevye," and I said, "Who the hell is tevye?"
Was that your first tevye then?
I had never seen Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah, that was the first time I did tevye.
Okay. So that was 74.
As far as I know.
And you got up here in 71.
71. Middle of 71.
Okay, Don and Carolyn.
Yeah. And Fun City was done, must have been 73. Because the very next year.
And we did a play, either you or Carolyn directed.
Where was Come Blow Your Horn?
In the Canby Theater. And then the first full 2-act ballad
was in the
Canby.
Was in the Canby, and Forbes was Jake.
Okay,
you were the city manager. I have a request. The Neil Simon play, something on Fifth Avenue? What was it? And I was the thief. I remember I was in that.
I think Carolyn directed that.
Yeah, okay, it was Carolyn.
What was the name of it?
I think Paul and I.
Something on 7th.
To do
on
the
Fifth Avenue.
On Fifth Avenue. Neil Simon play.
Yeah.
Anyway, we built up the stage downstage.
In the Canby.
Yep.
And of course, we did that when we did Ballad of Kenai too.
There still was no backstage. The backstage
was about
yeah, that was it. And he'd stuck 20 or 30 of us back there, and it was he had to do a backstage cross. Excuse me.
Yeah. And the only thing I really remember backstage of that ballad was some high school girl's tits. She was changing costume back there, and I had to get by, and I'm going, this is really interesting.
We're all buddies.
It's just one of those things you remember, one of those things you remember. But my God, we had 80 people in that cast.
Was it that?
It was a 2 or 3 act
and the
show. We had 80 people.
Not the one Jean did that was the musical, the way she would do a narrated dance thing. This was Peterson's.
This was Peterson's Ballad of Kenai.
2-act play.
It was a 2-act, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of 3.
And it started with the city manager, or mayor, Elson, was up, he was grandpa, and this is confusion, and I hope you can remember, we had Alex and Lisa, right?
We had what?
Alex and Lisa were the love interests.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a version, I've gone down to Peterson, and I hope you've heard he's disintegrating.
I can tell you about the one we went.
And I've got that
the
one.
Touring one.
But I've got 4.3 and 4.4, and now it's not Alex and Lisa's not even in that 2-act play. That was done in '91.
Oh, I'd have to read the original.
And I have a
I'm
copy
so
of that
familiar,
for you to make copies for me.
I'm so familiar with the one we did for competition.
Right.
Okay.
And it's streamlined and crisp and sharp and keeps the main things. But that still has Alex and Lisa. And this last version, which is 4.3, and then the second act says 4.4, it has Grandpa Joe instead of Alex telling the story in the spaceship.
Oh.
And
okay.
And but it is telling it to Lisa, but Lisa isn't in the main script, so it's some confusion as to the rewrites.
Oh, you got me. I don't know much about that.
But the mayor was Grandpa Alex, or the old Alex. Mary Nell Bassett was Little Lisa. Mm-hmm. Cindy was Normal Lisa. Shepard wasn't there then, as I recollect, was he?
Mike Shepard would not have been in that one. No,
not in the original.
So he may have toured.
But Brent Florendo was.
Tim Jakinski was Rapid Robert.
Right. Okay. I was Raven,
Kitty-
and I
Kitty
was
was,
Irene
Kazagi.
Vandell.
Vandell, yeah.
Irene was.
And Marge was in
Yeah.
Marge in that one too.
Marge
Was
was
she the
See, and I don't have
Bertha
a copy
Porter
of that
character?
data, and I'm hoping Sasha can
Why don't we
get
get
that
a
to me.
movie from,
That would be great. Yeah.
get the movie that they
Do you
took.
have any? Do you have any videos of any of the shows anymore?
I have,
Any of them? Because I would like to digitize them, and we'll pay for it.
oh, I've got some that I did, gosh, what's the one we did? Wait Until Dark.
Okay.
I have that.
If you wouldn't mind loaning me
I
any
got-
material you have,
Slow.
we will.
Arctic Free State.
I
There we
forgot
go.
about Arctic Free State.
Guys and Dolls, rehearsal comedy ×3,
You remember that one?
Don Nickel miscellaneous.
And Guys
Arctic
and
Free
Dolls is
State.
what you resurrected back over in the Blazy Mall, right?
Huh?
Did you do Guys and Dolls? Or
Guys
was it
and Dolls
Cabaret? Cabaret.
I
you
wasn't
did.
in that. No, that was Cabaret.
Yeah,
Now, Guys and Dolls was done in Sohai.
Right.
That was
Cabaret was at the Blazy Mall, though.
Yes.
Guys
And that's
Dolls-
when we kind of got the momentum back again.
Guys
After
and
a
Dolls
hiatus of sorts.
was done. Brett Florendo was involved in that.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah.
That was one of the first ones we did at Sohai. Okay, the first one ever done in Sohai was West Side Story.
when I was
And
gone to
remember?
school.
That
I
was
was
really
gone to
funny
school,
because
so-
we went into that theater and they had normal side colored floor. It was spruce
You gotta pay
and
five.
it was warping
Mm.
and the dancers were getting splinters in their feet. And so the stage wound up being level with the back of the orchestra pit. The orchestra pit stuck out.
Right.
Okay? So one night, actually, Peterson and Richardson and everybody said, okay, we're going to put up the money and we're going to build this stage out, and it's still there.
Yep.
We put the money up, and it comes out even with the front of the.
Mhm. Mhm.
They don't have that pity.
Okay. Then
Okay, I've been
one
in there for a
night,
long time.
Gordon Griffin went home, and we painted the floor black, dark brown. And he came back, and there wasn't a damn thing he could do about it. But you can't have
No, they
a,
don't design it.
a natural side, show.
Right.
Show floor. And so that's still there, because nobody knew what the hell was going on in theater when they built the theater.
Tom
Right.
Atkinson
Right.
did a show in the Little Theater, and it was why the big theater was being built. And so Gary
That was
Lawyer
flowers
was
for Algernon.
yes, and he asked me to
Oh.
help him build sets, and we were doing that. It was sort of a collaborative work where Peninsula dancers danced and Kenai Performers performed, and Pier 1 did a number, so it was like a variety show thing. We did The Blessing. It was a dance
Burns for the blessing.
by Lynn Rolfe. And you guys, with Shepard, I think, Mike, had done maybe a comedy or something. Anyway, so that stage, Tom said, could you do it? So the little theater stage is
Mhm.
built out. That's from the Boneyard. I did that. I built that out.
I did not
We
know
have a
that.
habit of modifying and making the theaters correct. And then Kevin built
Oh, yeah.
a very nice fastening system around the orchestra pit in Kenai.
That was for Annie, though.
That was for Annie.
Yeah.
And now that's permanent because we'd have to drill into that oak. And so now it's a suspension system. It's all okayed and machined. And so we fixed that little issue. They don't quite listen to us when it comes to how to design and build an
you're right.
auditorium. It's like they listen
So we
to
have
an
to change
architect.
things as we go along.
Got to fix it.
Quietly. Sometimes
Quietly.
at night.
Gladly.
And they keep the fixes because they're correct.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of amusing. Now they're talking about a fee structure change again, increase, and a seat tax. So $1 Well, you know how it is. Bureaucrats have to. They say, "Oh, you're making money. We'll take some of that. Thank you." And so we might be back to the Blazy Mall. We might be.
Or the college commons.
We put it everywhere.
So the whole thing about ballot is it started as a request by the Historical Society wanted a celebration of Kenai, the 150th purchase from Russia, I guess. And we weren't situated to do that. And so I said, well, I had wanted Ballot to be the first play for the new Black Box Theater. That's our goal. So now we have Joel Caldwell, who has done capital campaigns before, and he's saying, well, you need to make that kind of your key project for
Cry of the Ram.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, and that was my intent for the actual theater. But he's saying no, to inspire sponsors, you put that on. Just you do what you do, and make a good show, and I'll bring people, and we'll see what we can get for sponsorship because we're in the city, and a 5,000 square foot, 4 walls, and a roof, and 4 doors, and 2 bathrooms is $1.5 million. And if you and I were to build it here for a barn, it might be 200,000, maybe 3. But you say theater, and for some reason,
Completely different program, isn't it?
yeah. So that was a little jaw dropping for me. Everybody said we've been looking for several years. Well, let's buy this warehouse. Well, okay, that's that's $500,000, 5 whatever, and then it's another $500,000 to get it so it can become a theater. So it's like, well, let's just build a black box. We don't have to, and then it'll
Start from scratch, and that way you don't have to change it.
right. And it's just seriously a black box. And people are like, well, where's the stage? Okay, you don't understand a black box. So I've had to explain it to some of our own board members and performers. They're catching on, but probably we figured an average of 40%, of our resources go to venue. And since that's the case, why don't we just get some
Make our own venue.
Make our own venue.
Yeah.
And then we can do so many other things. I think we can.
I've always been, know that I've tried to.
Right.
I remember when they took a log cabin down over in Soldotna. I snagged all the parts and pieces, and we were
Then
going
we
to use
stepped
it.
that here, and we never did get it built back up.
I know.
That was you and
There's
me
a lot
and
of fits
Vaughn and Craig.
A lot of
And I
fits and
think it
starts.
was Marge Mullins. I think it was on their property.
It was
Or
Mullins
behind-
property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So-
they
It was
got-
a
may have been
log
their
home that
homestead.
we took down from Mullins property.
Well, Marge would have the history on that one. That was their homestead cabin.
Yeah.
They started out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was behind Walgreens back then.
Yeah.
And we had intended.
Because then we piled that over in my buddy's property over on what used to be Irons Drive in Ridgeway. And then he had to move it, and then it got moved over to some property down the street from the college. And then I don't know whatever happened after that. Kind of lost on
You have a
it.
lot of those piles around the
Well-
community.
Well,
ending,
we tried. We people gave us stuff. We
Yeah,
tried
I
to
know.
do something with it, but it just never took
We had to
root.
take it home in our cars, put it in your closet, your basement, your
Yeah,
garage,
yeah.
or wherever, and bring
And
it back out for the next
the
show.
Kenai Performers have been going by fits and starts for
Mm.
quite some time. I remember saving it twice. I remember we didn't do much after about 74 for a little while. And finally, oh golly, there was a few things done in the 70s.
Well, the very first full musical was Oliver, and I was.
Okay, that's what happens. It wasn't the Kenai Performers so much after that as Lance Peterson came up and he started doing musicals.
Full
So
musical.
the Kenai Performers weren't doing a
When
whole
was
lot.
Oklahoma though? Because Mom and Dad were in
That
Montana. That was
74.
That was 74. Was
Right,
that? And then
'cause
you're
Mom
saying
was,
there was a hiatus after that.
Yeah,
well,
Okay.
we did something in 75. I can try to remember
because Lance Peterson.
Well-
because I graduated that year. That might have been Oklahoma.
Because here's where I'm going with this. And sometime I had married Wanda, and so it must have been after 80 or 81. The Kenai Performers got together, and it was Jim Elson, and it was Fandel, and it was Marge O'Reilly's house, and Wanda and I, and who else? Anyway, we had $1,500 in the kitty. And they said, well, here's the idea. We're not doing anything. We haven't done anything. We've been associated with Kenai, with Pier 1, but we haven't done anything in little theater wise.
Right.
So they said, why don't we give this $1,500 to the drama club at the high school? I said, hell no. Let's do something. Well, what? I said, well, I'll direct something. Well, what do you know about directing? I said, about as much as you do, but we'll do something. So that's when I picked up
We'll figure it out.
Neil Simon's Chapter 2.
Mm.
And I put
Okay.
Wanda and Tom Murphy. They were a pair. And then Dylan Kimple, believe it or not,
I remember
who
Dylan.
hadn't been on stage ever. He was retired school principal. And a high school girl was his paramour. And I can't tell you what her name was. Anyway, there's two couples, right? Chapter 2 by Neil Simon.
Yeah.
And we put it on at the little theater.
Okay.
And of course, the electrical system sucked. And in the middle of the show, I'd have to go and hit the breaker. Because we didn't have enough power for our lights, okay? I made this set so that it was split with lights here and lights here. This is an apartment, this is an apartment. And we made two sofas come together downstage. Okay? And that separated with our lights one show, one apartment, Tom and Wanda's, and Dylan and his paramour. And so we came to the time during the show when Dylan, great big fat Dylan, he was having a tryst with this young lady. And so it was during a lunch hour. And he came in and he takes off his jacket and he takes off his white shirt, keeps his tie on,
Oh dear.
and he's got a big fat bare belly here, and he throws these things over here, and his paramour comes in, and they go in the bedroom for just a couple seconds. Telephones ring, telephone, oh my God, and he comes out, and she says, well, I can't wait, and out she goes, and he has a half a page soliloquy. During this time, he's going to put his clothes back on. And he can't find his shirt. It has fallen down behind the couch. And he's halfway into this soliloquy, and he is wild. Finally, he says to the lady in the front row, he says, where's my shirt? She says, it went down behind me. He reaches over, continues, and this is the guy who hasn't been on stage ever. He continues with his soliloquy beautifully, puts on and everybody's falling down. I threw my paper down on the floor, and I'm rolling around. Everybody's having one hell of a good time because he carried it. It was a beautiful thing. It really was. I wish we had been videoing that at that time.
Yeah.
We did video it. I don't remember whatever happened to it. But anyway, that was one of the things that you really look for in theater. He kept his character as best he could, and he still went on with it, and the show went on, and it was really beautiful. And we had copies. I have copies of it, but there was no sound. I think Bill Grimes was copying it, and I had the show, and he probably threw it away anyway. But there was no sound. in it, so it's of no value to us. But it was a good show. Neil Simon is a good show. It's a small thing. You can do that on.
I'd forgotten that we used the little theater.
But anyway, this is how I got started again. And then one thing led to another. Somebody else picked it up. Another director came along and did that. Okay.
Then it subsided, and you got Chris and I on Hello Dolly.
Well, okay. That goes down the line. That goes way down the line. I was doing. They did the. Carol did the show,
Ford.
The Secret Garden.
Oh, she did that over at the
And I got into that, and that was what,
Yeah.
98 or 99.
Okay.
Anyway, we find out that the Kenai Performers have $1,500 and they're going to give it to the drama club. I said, this is kind of like deja vu all over again.
They were going to do it the second
Yeah.
time.
And I said, no. We are going to do something. Well, what are we going to do? I said, I don't know, but I think we better do something. So that's when I did The Odd Couple, the female version. And I did that right next door to the Mexican restaurant.
Yep.
What am I
And
thinking?
Carol was
Don
in that
Jose's?
one.
Don Jose's.
Yeah, Carol was in that one though. You had her
Yes,
in.
yes,
Yeah,
she was a
that
star. Yeah.
And we all hauled our own chairs in
Yeah.
and sat down and had
Yeah.
a great time. Yeah.
But people went to Don Jose's for dinner and then they came next door
Yeah.
in the same building.
And when do you think that was?
That was 99.
99. Okay.
No, that was probably 98. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Anyway,
yeah, it's okay.
we used as
I
a
remember
carpet
Yeah.
some of the carpet out of Louis' restaurant. They were ripping it out, and I said, well, let's take some of that. And then that was our base. So I went over to Gordon Griffin. I said, Gordon, I don't have any sets. Kenai Performers doesn't have any sets anymore. He says, well, take what you need. He says, when are we going to do some more theater? I said, Gordon, we need to get doing a musical again, because 13 years before, we were going to do Hello Dolly. Gordon was going to direct. And we had our tryouts, and I got the lead as a male lead. And Katie Samora got the lead as Dolly. But the school teacher over in Soldotna, she was so pissed about that, she didn't want anything to do with it. Oh, she gave Gordon all kinds of hell. Finally, Gordon said, we ain't going to do it.
Oh.
So that was the end of the musicals.
So
13
why was
years.
she upset?
Huh?
Why was she upset?
Because she didn't get the part.
Okay.
It's very simple. She didn't get the part.
All right.
And so I'm telling it like it is.
Go for it.
Okay.
I wasn't
So
involved in this
anyway-
part, so this is new.
Anyway, 13 years later, I said, Gordon, let's start where we stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So I directed it. And I caught hell from some lady from the North Road because she didn't get her part. Graham,
Oh,
Vicky?
Suzette.
Oh,
Suzette. And I said, Suzette, your voice, you're too low. You don't have a Dolly voice. She was in the show, but she wanted to be Dolly. And I said, you can't do that. You can't sing that part.
You don't have the chops.
You don't have that kind of a voice.
She was somewhat upset.
She was pissed. Well, anyway, we did it. We made our sets and whatnot, and that got it started.
And we started.
And I got started, and then I said we're going to do Fiddler on the Roof because it's the best one going. And Carol was the instructor. And the day after tryouts, I got an offer to go to Hawaii to practice for a whole month. Actually, 2 months. I never even saw the show. I was gone so long because a friend of mine's dad got.
So you were supposed to be in that Fiddler also.
No, I didn't get the part. No,
But I mean, you would have.
I
just
would
gone.
have
Okay,
been part of it,
that would have
but
been interesting.
the day
Was
after,
that Mark Beresin got that? Have you?
Mark Beresin
Yeah,
played
yeah,
the part,
yeah.
and that's where you made a lot of money, a lot of money.
That's true.
As it
That's
is
true. She had the bottle dance
with
and- yeah,
with Hello Dolly,
Yeah.
we spent $15,500 and we made $15,000. We only lost 500. But see, we didn't have any sets. We had to buy all the stuff for the sets. We had to start from scratch again.
Is that when you got costumes from Fairbanks on
Yes,
loan? Okay,
yes.
Sharon Fisher was on that
Yes.
detail, yeah. Okay.
So we had, I think we rented them, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a gentleman's agreement between the two entities, yeah.
So, I said, okay, I saved it twice. No, I can do
That's
it
true.
again if I have to. But the basic thing is, I wanted to keep the Kenai Performers going, okay? And so...
But in explaining your history with Kenai Performers, I think it's really critical for current board members as well as Kenai, just performers and people who are interested in knowing that you put out a lot of money of your own in addition to time and effort. But
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Chapter
the
2, I
norm.
spent $800 of my own money.
Right. And did you ever see that again? No.
I got
was
it
just
back.
the norm.
And we made, I think, $200 or $300 beyond that
On
to
chapter
throw into the next pot.
Yeah.
But somebody had to come up with it.
Yeah. And now we are really cruising on.
Let me tell you a little
there.
story about that show too.
Chapter 2?
We're finished for the night, and it has snowed about 6 inches while we're in there, and we're at the high school. And I'm cleaning up. Wanda and I and everybody's cleaning up. Dylan leaves, and he goes out to get in his vehicle to go. And he comes in, and he's shaking. Oh my God! Somebody stole my car! Somebody stole my car! My God! Oh, it was terrible! I said, why would anybody steal your car? I don't know, but I can't find my car. So he calls the police. Meanwhile, we're continuing to clean up, put stuff away. And about 20 minutes goes by, he comes in, he's wringing his hands. He says, oh my God. Oh my God. He said, I drove the truck. And it's parked right down at the end of the walkway, covered with snow, okay? And it's his pickup truck. He thought he drove his car. So he called the police and said, yeah, I found it, no problem.
Exciting times.
Little things like that,
Yes,
it was a circus. It was an absolute circus.
So let's get to Ballad, the competition piece. That came about. Peterson entered that.
We
The
were
fine arts or the
we were doing, I think it was West Side Story
right in there.
over in Sohi. And Lance came to me and he said, we're going to try to do Ballad as a one-act competition play. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah. So Juan and I got involved in it. So we would go upstairs after practice for West Side Story, upstairs, and we would practice. We would start going through Ballad. So we were working on the next show, which of course was in May of '81. I have a whole box downstairs of this.
Oh, good.
I would like that box.
And
Everything.
there's pictures from that show. Anyway, we got involved in this thing before we were finished with the last one. And so he had cut the show down from like 80 people down to 40, but all of us had at least 2 parts. I had 3, and most people had to play several parts. At the beginning, I was one of the dancers dancing the polka and Joe's. And then I played a Russian captain. And then I played the city manager, which turned out to be an icon picture because it was in Alaska Airlines magazine.
Right.
I have that too, by the way.
Yes, I love that.
And consequently, we started practice on this. And we had to get it down to 60 minutes or less. And it was constant. We went through this thing time after time after time after time. And so we put it on here before we went down, of course. And we went down in May, and Lance had gotten the guy from Soldotna with a DC-3,
Right.
and we flew down to Haines in a DC-3, and if you've ever been there, we barely made it onto that runway.
I have.
I mean, we're
The
trying to-
DC-3 is a little bit big for that.
And it was a great experience to see these other organizations come in because they were top notch. It was something to really go for. So we were practicing downtown and we were practicing here and we were going and slicking it up. I mean, really slicking it up. It was coming. It was really coming. And so we went in there and there was quite a bit of competition, particularly out of Fairbanks. They're always hot. And besides Southeast, but there was some great outfits. And we won it. And of course, the next night, then we had to go for the regionals, which was Spokane. And we won that. And the judge, I can't think of his name, young fellow out of Maryland, the judge for the show said, now I'm going to help you guys. And so he helped us when we went to the National. So in order to make some money to go, we went up and we put it on the Sidney Lawrence. We put on Ballad for Anchorage. There was 2,500 people there. And we put it on down here too. I can't tell you how many places we did. But we got some money from the state, which had quite a bit of money at the time. Turned out to be about $75,000. And so we flew down there, I think it was in June of '81. And again, we kept slicking it. And with this instructor from Maryland, he just, he'd give us clues. And I mean, it was slick. And what I really want to do is I really would like to get a copy of that show. I think Lance has it, of Kalamazoo, because it was slick. We were the only ones to get a standing ovation from our peers. There's only 8 other organizations in the country there. We got a standing ovation, the only one.
What a rush.
And so we go to the judges. First judge is a very outspoken fellow. He's from New York City. Second one's from New York City. Third one's from New London, Ontario. But the other judges were sitting there listening. By the way, they changed the rules the very next time around, so that the other judges wouldn't hear what the first
Right.
judge said. So the first judge came in and he just, he raised all kinds of heck with us for exaggerating all our characters. And we had
Didn't understand. There was
and
no
of course,
exaggeration.
40 people fell on the floor laughing because this idiot didn't
toned
realize
down.
we had to tone it down and pull it back from the real true
Welcome to
people.
Kenai.
Okay? So we knew there wasn't anything going here. So anyway, the outfit from Oklahoma City won,
Exaggeration.
and they did a good job, believe me. But I felt that under the circumstances, the only one to get a standing ovation from the people who were there who knew something, that was pretty darn good.
That is.
And so I felt we did a really good job of representing Alaska and Alaska's history under these circumstances. And so that was a great,
That's fun.
that was a great experience. It was a
And how big was the cast on that one? How big was the cast?
We had about 40 people,
Yeah.
and that was including the musicians.
Yep.
And you talk about some hot musicians.
Well, Curtis and
Burton,
Burton.
Burton, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then a piano player.
Maria was there?
No.
Well, Karen Searood was.
Karen.
Yeah.
Karen.
Yeah. Did
And
she play
then
the
we had
piano
a
too?
flautist, Barry
Karen-
something or other, and then Dale Curtis was
Oh,
on.
okay. I thought
trumpet.
Karen played the flute.
It was a small group, but
They were
of
all
course,
professionals.
Yeah.
Ray Burton could play anything.
Yeah.
He had a sax and he had any number of things. He could do anything.
Mhm.
This was a tried and true organization. We're talking about, by the time we got down there, this was slick. This was slick,
Tight. Hmm.
and it was fun.
But you over-exaggerated, Hank.
God, it was fun. Yeah.
That is
Oh yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
That is
Oh,
so
God.
funny.
Yeah. We had to pull Kitty back. We had to pull. Oh, it was unbelievable. You
And
know, of
Gert.
course, that's
Deb
from
was-
North Road. You know.
Deb was just telling me that Matt's house, her husband's house, that he grew up in, was where Edie, she had been shot.
I never knew.
And so she was hiding
Oh.
out in Debbie's house,
Really?
or Deb's
That's news to me.
growing up house.
Who shot
That's
her?
exaggeration. That's
Yeah.
exaggerating.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're exaggerating,
Yeah.
Kitty.
And Bertha
Or
Porter.
Bertha Porter.
Bertha
please.
Porter.
Porter. We were
She
exaggerating.
physically, personally
My God.
strung telephone line out all
Yeah,
the way
you-
out
you-
to North Road.
You couldn't
It's like,
believe these people. You know.
That's true.
that's
It was
exaggeration.
very, very, very
And
interesting.
furthermore, our first city manager was a very memorable gentleman.
Boy, I'll
Bill
tell you.
Harrison was
Oh,
very
so,
colorful soul.
One of the things I was thinking you might want to consider, because you wrote those lyrics, is that not correct?
No, not very much of it.
Oh.
No, I wrote some of them.
Well, in one version you're given
Frank did
lyrical credit. So
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you could add another verse or two.
I think we probably could bring it up to date.
Bring it up to date. Maybe, we're going to have pot stores here, my friends, right here
Yeah,
next
yeah.
to it. Dance
It's a
studios.
possibility. Yeah.
It happens, yeah.
Or
Yeah, I think it's probably good.
that would be
work
kind
out
of
something.
fun if we.
Yeah,
That
I love-
Pearson
I
gave
love to
me
do
pretty much,
carte blanche.
pretty much. I mean, I'm going to try to stay
How's
true
Lance
to
doing?
the. He's not well.
Slipping?
Gone.
Really?
Pretty much.
I'm sorry to hear that.
If we have a conversation about ballad or something in the past, he can.
Pretty sharp.
But I've been visiting all over the summer, and it's as bad or worse than Phyllis was. So, in and out. But in fact, Mary, Watchka Shepherd, Freeze, Mike's wife, Mary.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Who is still practicing home
Yeah,
care,
yeah,
nursing. Saw and doing theater now with her
Mhm.
husband and Mike's son, Peter, who is directing and performing.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Great stuff.
Had my-
Oh, I love it.
Well, they've taken over. Pier 1's been taken over by the third generation. It's pretty
Good,
cool.
good.
And
And Peter Norton.
Peter's still doing shows, and his daughter is the executive director now
That's great.
and artistic director.
I love to see that.
But she keeps tabs, and the last I had heard when we were talking to her a few weeks ago, they had done JC Superstar, and they're not allowed to drive anymore. Barb is allowed to drive. Well, he was driving.
Really?
I took him to dinner one night, and he said, "Well, I'll drive." It was a short drive. It was entertaining. It was pretty sporty. Well, we'd be in this lane for a little while, and then we'd be kind of over in this lane. And
Does,
we'd kind of
does Barbara drive still?
Barb is allowed to drive only to the store and back.
Is she having problems too?
Well, not mentally, no, but
But physically?
yeah, she has some ailments.
Okay.
issues.
Well, you get that way
But
when you're
sure.
old.
Yeah.
I know full well.
Yep. So, that's why one of the things that's inspired me was when I went and saw that his dementia was escalating, and I just felt compelled to try to get as many original, because we are in the thing I think that most people don't recognize is when they're in history, and we were in history.
Try to see if you can get from Barbara any videos that they might have.
I've been working on that. Sasha has found a box downstairs. We're trying to get the magnetic tape. I've been talking to Alan Boris about preserving, because that's big,
putting on something.
and getting it into a digital format
Yeah,
and copied a bunch of times
Yeah.
to prevent degradation.
Right.
But a lot of it's just reel to reel.
Yeah.
Some of it's VHS.
Yeah.
And some of it's cassette. And so Alan.
Ava has Fiddler on the Roof from 1980.
Yeah.
Let's get that from her and digitize.
We want to get
Pages.
all of
She
hers
has
and
a
all of
huge
Peterson's.
number. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the soundtracks and the sound effects
I-
are being used.
I had Delora make a copy of chapter of the Odd Couple female version, and gave it to Carol. Unfortunately, Carol lost it along with a variety of other things, but we did have that copy somewhere along the line. See if you can talk to Carol and see if she could find it in her.
I think
in
she's
her-
living in Homer. now.
Yeah,
She
but
Living
she
in Homer, I believe.
and
Is
she's
she?
not well disposed toward Kenai Performers, so we'll try. We'll give it a
Yeah,
shot.
see if
Yeah.
you can find that. But I know it's there.
Yeah. Okay.
I have some other things I'll look and see about.
Yes, if you could put together anything, and I would like to make copies with my guarantee that nothing will come amiss of the material and it will be returned and not lost.
Yeah,
Because that's part of my project is to get the background story. What happened is I was like, okay, because Lance couldn't remember that much that well. Sasha was what 44 now, 40 whatever. Yeah, and but he was a little guy. So, and if you remember, I was sort of a short guy for most, right? And then in high school, I kind of remember some of those, but I don't remember the actual meetings. I remember being at the meetings and emptying ashtrays and filling coffee, but even in high school, you were to be seen and not heard,
Yeah,
right? And
right,
I was,
right.
okay, go split
well, you
wood.
scratch me, and I can remember a lot of these
Mhm.
old episodes. In fact, I've written some of it down. For example,
Oh, that's
some
a
of the
good
stuff
idea.
I've done
Yeah.
down in Pier 1. Some of the stuff
If
that,
you-
oh my
So
God.
that's what I'm saying is now I feel compelled not just ballad, but the whole
Well, yeah,
organizational
we have to
Right.
do
history
we
and
have
memory.
to do Peninsula Dancers, Pier
Yeah.
1, and Kenai Performers
Exactly,
because
yeah.
we are indeed the same organization.
Essentially, we are. And
I
then
like to tell
I
Joe
think
we
it
were
was
the first
valid,
triumvirate,
actually.
really. We were the three groups were integral to
yes,
doing any show.
absolutely.
It was just, yeah.
And
And then
it
the
was-
dance concerts kind of branched off of that, and they became their own.
As
kind of
we
phenomenon,
got
really.
different choreographers,
Mhm,
and so when Chris came up here, and even Annette O'Connell and Lynn
Yeah.
Raw, who danced professionally with and went to Martha Graham School of Dance. We
Well,
had
Annette was a professional dancer.
she
from-
was a
somewhere.
dance major, and
But she was a paid.
If you want to turn that
Yes.
off for a couple seconds, I'll look for some stuff. I want to get that box from theater.
Oh, awesome! Yeah,
Brother was in that.
Kevin
Yeah.
or Paul. No, Kevin did a lot of dancing. He had his hair permed. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was Mark Barrison
try not.
Oh.
and Kevin Moran. Yeah,
Oh
He's
yeah.
an old audition for.
You're
yeah.
looking swell, Dolly.
This was done at
Larry Willard.
this was done at the college.
Yeah, we did a lot in the commons.
Oh, I
at
remember
college.
Gene Friendship.
Oh, here's Doug McAuliffe. I think
You
they got
and,
the wrong
Clay.
name.
I
Huh?
remember you and Clay doing this.
What's that?
Wow.
Oh yeah,
You guys
yeah.
did that duet.
We did that at the Elks Club.
Yeah, I remember you too.
And this is when we use typewriters for things. Oh my goodness.
Isn't it interesting?
It is.
You look at all this
Well,
stuff.
did you
It
ever?
really goes back.
It does go back. But why didn't we put dates on things?
Getting old and moving this.
And here's
Who's
the
on first? That's
Nutcracker.
right. Oh my lord. Yeah, I hope Shyla finds all of her good stuff. Her print.
That wasn't Kenai Performers,
No,
but it was a show.
Peninsula Council for Performing Arts. Now, did that become?
The Fine Arts Society was just an informal name that the ladies called this
Yeah.
loose grouping of performing groups. I don't
well,
think it was
Tony
ever
Dunn.
formed.
I
Oh,
totally
we-
forgot about Miss
We
Tony.
changed. This was Plato, Murder on the Nile,
Oh yeah.
and I changed some of the lines, and this is some of it.
But
Yeah.
we're not supposed to do that anymore.
Yeah, I changed
That's
some of the
okay.
lines.
Wanda
Look at
Nichols.
Apollo.
Okay,
Oh, that's funny.
this has. Pardon me. This has This has Gene's dancers in it. And then they brought in, okay, that's what they did. They used the locals, and the primary
This is part of that.
stars were from
Oh, here.
Anchorage.
Huh. Page 61.
We
Right.
need to make copies of all this if we may.
Oh, yeah, here we go. This is 61. Yeah, we do. Need to preserve it all.
There's a Death on the Nile.
See, dinner theater. We did dinner theater at the Merit. We did dinner theater. Oh my!
We
Everywhere.
did it. I did it up against the window in Land's End.
Really? I didn't.
Yes.
I never did one down there.
Yes.
Oh, this is Land's End. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the Merit.
Up against the
Okay,
window.
so you were performing
Yep.
or directing.
I was not only directing, but I was Hercule Poirot. You know, he is Belgian. He's not Frenchman.
No, I did not know that.
He's Belgian.
Thank you, Don. I did
Oh.
not know.
He's
And
sensitive.
Brendan Nickel was in
He's
this.
sensitive about it, okay?
Death on the Nile. Oh my word.
Mary Swearingen. I
Look
think
at
she's
this.
still
Annie
here.
gets her gun.
Now, that was the first one that Rose
Rosemary was in.
and
Rose
Bob
Jolly,
Bird were
Bob
in.
Bird, you
Yeah.
I
bet.
wasn't
Yeah.
here. I was off to college.
You bet.
Wanda, and Don. Okay,
Ah.
so this was after.
And we did it backwards in the little theater. The people sat on stage, and we did it out on the steps. Remember that?
Fun City. Here's some history right here. I don't know how accurate it is, but look right there.
This was the one
Oh,
Barb
the Valiant.
directed with. That was the first time I played with
Who's that?
Peterson. The Valiant.
But Paul.
Oh, you were in that. Yeah,
Brother
right.
Paul did all those summer stuff.
But
Yeah.
not with Peterson. I was on stage with
See, this was-
Peterson
Oh, with
himself.
him acting. Okay.
This was
Barb
Peterson.
directed.
Okay.
And we we took to
Prisoner of
Hayes'
Second
competition
Avenue.
too.
Annie, get your gun.
I remember that judge real well. He ticked me off. He said, "Well, his critique of us was I had the audience crying. Literally, you could hear him."
I was Chief Sitting Bull.
And Annie,
Of course you would.
Yeah, Annie, get your gun.
Okay, so some of the old
Here's
ones
another
were
one where I think your brother was in this.
Paul or Kevin.
the actor's nightmare. Yeah,
I think that was
Actor's
Kevin.
Nightmare, yeah,
The 59.
Okay, it says here 1979.
Yeah,
Annie,
yeah.
get your gun.
Kevin Moore.
Okay.
59.
And then was
Pemberton.
Fiddler on the Roof and West Side Story, Music Man, and Guys
Oh,
and
the
Dolls.
blessing. That okay.
What's that now?
See, this
In
is
1979, Peninsula Dancers, Pier 1, and Kenai Performers melded to produce the major musical Annie, Get Your Gun. Then came Fiddler on the Roof,
That was in 80.
West Side Story,
81.
Music Man, and
Yep.
Guys and Dolls.
Yep.
Each bigger and better than the last.
Yeah.
We do say so
Yeah.
ourselves.
But
Yep.
the first one that's so high was West Side Story.
Okay. And then here it is, 1981, The Ballad of Kenai.
how prophetic though. Now
Mhm.
the Brits want to leave. The
So this is
Californians
12
wanted
years.
to leave. Yep, we wanted to leave a long time ago.
So 12 years.
It was
Boy, I'll tell
Arctic
you-
Free State of the Arctic, and Arctic Free State
Right.
to play.
And we had
for
to learn
some reason.
the lines.
Yes, and I
Three
don't
different
remember
ways.
why you guys were kind of giving the bird to the whole thing. I remember that all you guys that had gone to and done the Haynes thing before. This was a little,
Yeah, that's what Lance Peterson
but
was
I didn't
doing.
understand what the complaint or
I'm not sure
controversy
either.
or irritation was. I was like, seriously, let's compete. 'Cause
Yeah, I don't
you know how
know.
competitive I am, and everybody was like, "We'll never win. This is kind of a slap in their face."
Yeah,
and I
it
was
was,
like trying
it
to
was.
figure it out why.
I don't know, yeah.
And I still don't to this day understand what the beef was, but there was
I
a beef.
don't
Let me
either,
see
but
that one,
that's whatever. It was fun.
Thanks.
It was fun. We had to learn the same lines, but do them in different ways. And it would, we'd be practicing along, and somebody'd go off on
That's
on
the
a
other
different
one.
show. I'm going, oh my God!
No, I have this line. That's my pickup line for this play.
Oh right, sorry.
Oh man, did Peterson yell? He hardly ever swore, but
Here's a
as
financial
adult
report.
dancers are
Ooh, what year?
Erica, Molly Mahern. Oh my gosh,
Here's a
Cornelia.
financial report.
1987. Notes and frou-frou. Don't dribble your coffee. No, it's fundraising.
Yep.
Yeah, Cinderella.
Olga Irene Pendel, technical crew. Yep.
37. Okay.
Here, this is a letter.
Here's
Good
Oliver.
stuff, Don.
And
Well, here are actual numbers.
87.
Yeah,
So
actual
Oliver
numbers
and 87. That's a different
For
one.
Kenai Performers.
Yeah. And what the budgets were. They've gone from about 2,300 to 23,000. 1986, 1987. Amazing.
Annabelle, he's
Okay, a letter. You got good stuff. More 87. This is from Lorene Forbes.
even
Wow.
says
Okay.
lithograph.
This is
Oh,
from Working.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
from Working.
I love that show.
Man of La Mancha.
Wendy Spurgeon.
20 years and still dancing. 1967, Ash Wednesday. 1968, Ode to Billy Joe. 1969, Ballad of Kenai. 70, Kaleidoscope Trip and an Irish Outlook. 71, Pure Again, right there.
Woohoo, we got it. That's wonderful.
So that's an excellent.
There's a lot of history
Yeah.
here. You know, we
Yeah.
may be talking about these things, but these actually put it down as to when it happened.
Thank
And-
heaven, somebody did, yeah.
Thank you. This is
Anita
yes,
Davis, when she was belly dancing, oh,
she was
absolutely stunning.
yes amazing.
Liam Forbes, Katie Murphy, and Harmony Cedarholm were the apprentice corps. Oh, that's
There's some
precious.
interesting stuff. Even Camelot out of Anchorage.
Oh, that's actually a really pretty program.
Hughes was doing a lot of
So many of
the
these
art
people.
back in those days. That almost
Brad,
looks like a
Brad Hughes.
Yeah.
That was out of Anchorage, though.
That was
he,
on an
he was
Was he all over?
well,
Okay.
and you know, one of the best things Anchorage did was Hughes, Sanders, Peterson, and one of Anchorage's
That was
Oh, this
Lion
is
and
good.
Winter.
Lion in Winter.
It was
Yes.
probably one of the best plays I've ever seen.
Yeah.
God, I love this
I
show.
think Barb was Barb the Queen, and
Yep.
I can give you this guy's name in a minute. It wasn't Shepard, but he was one of Shepard's buddy, and this guy
Brad
was
Sanders?
No, this was an Anchorage player
Oh, an Anchorage.
of Shepard's size.
Just about all the
Art.
leads were from Homer.
Yeah, except for this one guy. He was
Yeah.
the only Anchorage guy
Oh,
that
wow.
made
Yeah.
the cut. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it was a Brink or a Bob Pond, but I think one of those guys directed.
Bob Pond.
And
Yeah,
that
it's
was-
Because
By
I
that
was,
time,
I was,
Bob Pond
I
was
was thinking
directing.
about going up and trying out, and they said, "Don't.
it's kind of
You will
already
not
done.
get along with Bob Pond.
Right.
Your personality will not get along with Bob Pond."
Oh, come on. Well, okay. I thought he was a really
So I didn't.
mellow guy. But this was in a warehouse. Which warehouse?
Yeah.
Over on K Beach. What,
Yeah,
which
that
one
was,
was
that
it?
was
And
the word.
Maria Allison had the piano out in the entryway.
Craig
it
and
was
I
so cool.
built this
Yeah. Yeah.
stage out of
The
piping.
scaffolding. Yeah.
And
So-
Tom Atkinson used to
so-
say, "I'm an actor. I
The
don't
night-
have to clean up. I shouldn't have to do this." And this was the play where Tom got left and everybody left because they were just actors. And he's like, "Okay," because I said, "We're
Oh.
community theater. Our history is
We
you
do it
leave it
all.
better than you found it,
That's
and
right.
everybody does everything. You set up the lights. You do this. There are no prima donnas. There's no I'm an actor and I get to leave and come late and leave early.
Mm.
It's come early, stay late. Everybody hangs lights. Everybody
On
loads
Wednesday.
and unloads and
Yeah.
everything every single day, all the time. And then he finally
Who
got the
directed
memo.
that? Working.
Atkinson.
Tom Atkins.
So he comes to me.
Atkinson.
He comes to me on
Atkinson.
Wednesday night, and he says, "Randy Ernst's brother just was in an accident in downtown San Francisco. He's
This
gotta
is
be
when
done.
Robbie got there and this motorcycle accident.
Can you take his part?" And so on dress rehearsal night, they run me in to
Dress rehearsal.
do. Yes,
Oh my.
Yes, I went in on a Thursday night, dress rehearsal night, to do the part that Randy Ernst couldn't do because he was gone.
Oh, yeah, because Randy had to go down to take care of Robert.
Right.
Right.
And so I did that 2 nights. I played his part, having come in cold. Okay?
You did great.
Here's another one. This is really funny. Gordon Griffin is doing Annie.
Mhm.
Okay? I've never seen Annie. And so Gordon calls me and he says, it's a Tuesday night, and he says, I got a problem. I said, what's your problem? Now they've got an orchestra. This is a high school play. Terry Zopp is Rooster's sister. She's the antagonist.
Right.
And then Rooster is also an antagonist, but he's the brother. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So Gordon says, Rooster's gone. He moved to Anchorage. This is Tuesday night. He says, I wonder if you could come in and help us out. I said, what do I have to do? He says, well, you have to sing and dance, and there's some lines involved in this. And I said, I've never seen the show, so I don't know. So I go in, and not only are there lines, but I have to do a duet with my sister, Terry Zopp. And this is lines in between, and then the duet, and then lines in between, and then a duet. And I've got one night. And I had to learn that overnight.
And you did.
And I can't remember the orchestra director's name. He's a little short fella. And he's worried sick. He died of a heart attack a couple of years later. Anyway, he's worried sick. And I said, I'll sing, you follow me. That's the best I can do. And we knocked him dead. I was there for Friday night, Saturday night, and on Sunday, George, one of the high school kids,
George Holly.
Callie, had learned the lines, and he came in. Because I was going to Alberta elk hunting that weekend.
Oh, hence this. Yes, we
and
have
so
this program.
I
here.
said, Gordon, all I've got is a day or two.
Elk hunting. There.
Yeah. So I said, I'll give you that. And I'm leaving otherwise.
Well, here's the first.
But they, I was the guy they called for the firemen.
Yeah. And then it was Murphy and Forbes too. Were they always, you needed bailed out, you call these guys, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You getting more dates?
78.
And what was 78?
But there's a lot of history here.
Yes.
And it actually puts it down. You can find actual, dates and stuff that our memories may or
I
may
can do a
not,
spreadsheet and just cross-check some of these.
may or may not be
Cross-reference.
good.
This says from the top, but it has
From the top.
all sorts of things we have done in the past. So they did a retro here, as in Mary Poppins, Fox Dance, Kansas City from Oklahoma, Progress from Second Ballad of Kenai 19, Kitty Song.
Okay,
Peer
here's
Gynt, when we did Peer Gynt Suite.
I may have that one on
here's
tape.
the Lynn City
This is-
News. This is from '81. This is our show.
Yes.
1978, okay.
Oh, this is probably,
Theater Comes Alive.
This is
This is when we went
Barbara's
down.
printing. Barbara and or
Ronald
James
O'Leary, that's who it was,
O'Leary.
professor at the University of Maryland. He was the one who was the judge, and he also helped us at this Nationals. Ronald O'Leary.
Okay, when did you marry Wanda?
April 10th, 1980.
Okay, so this is 78 and Carolyn is still in the program. So.
Could be. We got divorced in '78.
Okay. Mary Moore.
Yeah, here's
Smith.
Thespians Come to Town. That's Haynes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
Lynn
this
Canal,
might
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Boy, there's some interesting stuff here.
When was Cindy
Well,
Robinson?
there's your
Cindy
chapter 2.
Rowden?
There's chapter 2.
She married Carl Rowden in
Oh, Carl
1975.
Rowden.
Carl died a few years back.
This is 1981.
The second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He put on a show called
Look
Fun
at all that
City.
hair.
Okay,
Do you look
here's
like
some,
your boys
here's
or
some
something?
memories. This is
Oh,
some
And
of
here's another one on chapter 2. Here's several
90
newspapers.
or 81.
I think
And
This
there's
is-
Dylan
I think
Campbell
Ornate.
Pat Malone did this.
and Tom Murphy.
Because he was in the show.
He did a couple.
That's Lawrence, I think.
That is War Names. Yeah, here's the WA. War Names, yeah. Wow.
Right. Support the
That's pretty
Archie.
gorgeous. He's dead. It's probably worth
There's-
having now. Hey.
Annie gets your gun.
Don Nickel, Rosemary Bird, Dave McCubbins. Oh. Rosemary looks like she's about 12. Look at that. Goodness gracious.
We have
The McCubbins.
Oh,
Yeah, wait.
excellent.
what's going on?
Excellent.
Nice.
thank you.
Here's another.
Perfect. Okay, here we go. Peninsula Dancers was founded in 1967. Kenai Performers first formed in 1971.
Ah, there
Pier
we go.
1 Theater, I know it was officially 73. Pier 1 is a risky process which performed a lot in the last decade.
My God, you have so
So
many.
this
What are the
is
costumes? There it
actually I want
is.
to take most all of this.
I'm not sure what that was for. That might have been for.
Music Man. I remember it
Huh?
well. I made the costumes. What do you mean?
What was it for?
Music Man.
Oh, okay.
First time we did Music Man.
Oh, I was Charlie Cowell, the anvil salesman.
Oh, okay.
I
And
still
you
have
look
that
very
anvil.
dapper.
I still have that
I
cardboard anvil
remember that and
with lid on the bottom.
How can you? That was.
I have it out in the
40 years
barn.
That's amazing, though.
You might have to take a walk back to the barn.
That is amazing. Yeah, I made that costume for Wanda. Oh, look at these.
The musical West Side Story begins
Dinner
Friday.
theater. See, we need
Details on
tons of
page
money
2.
for dinner theater.
Oh, there's a look at
Guys are
that.
going too fast.
Wow. That was
And Fiddler.
1881.
This
That tells
was
it right
the first
The way it
Fiddler.
is, folks.
Then Carol did Fiddler again after that hiatus you were talking about, and she made a ton of money on that one.
Okay, here's an article on
This is
set building for chapter 2.
West Side Story, 1981.
January 20th,
This is so
1981. Following Thursday, the play stars Tom Murphy, Wanda Nickel, Dylan Kimple, and Gail Wilder.
I don't know Gail Wilder.
Is that the young high schooler?
You
Gail
wanna see
Dunsmore is
something
the only one I
legitimate?
can remember.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is the 81 competition piece. Now,
Oh, okay.
I have, this is the
81,
copy.
January 81. Or January 81.
Aye, Lama Cha,
You have
Ima.
3 copies.
I told Alan, I said, well, the first time I know that the elders actually came together and gave a lesson was for ballad, and we had to learn Aye Lama Cha, the dance. And it was Mary Neeson at the high school
Yes,
gym.
Mary and
And I remember it
Louis
because
Nissen.
Lance,
Mhm.
Craig, and I think Ralph was there. And this was for the 2-act, before the 2-act in 75. And she explained that it was a matriarchal. The
Mhm.
strongest relationship was hunting partners, your buddy, your hunting buddy, but the women really kind of ran the show. And they
Still
had
do.
colored, feathered, their clans were color coded. I'm not sure how that worked. I don't remember all of it. It's kind of like that guy teaching us that throwing thing. It's a vague memory because I was too young to pay attention. I was too stupid at that age. But they came down and they
I remember that. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
and it was, and Alan didn't know about that. And I said, yeah, that was the first time I remember the Canaites had started claiming some of their
Mhm.
heritage. And I
Old
contended
culture,
may have been a trigger for them to, hey, this is
To do
kind of
something,
cool.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that Peterson may have inspired them to start not
Scratch-
being all Russians. Remember,
Scratched an itch
there
that
was
they
one or
didn't know
two
they had,
natives,
yeah.
and everybody else claimed to be Russian because
Yeah.
of the racism. When the
Yeah.
oil guys came up, they didn't have black guys to be racist because
Interesting.
they were just our friends.
Mhm.
And then they started coming up with all the slurs, right?
Yeah.
And then the land claims didn't help everybody's attitude as if it was their fault. And so I don't know if that's true, but I do remember that. And I know
that's
before
very interesting.
they were all Russians.
That's very interesting. Yeah, right.
And
Nobody wanted to be a
was a
native.
big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody went, except
Nobody
like
wanted to be a native.
Miller, Georgie
Miller. Well, that
didn't
was
ever
his-
deny his heritage.
No, and he
there-
went to Washington with his
there were
string
some
of beads
others that
and won
claimed their
wildwood.
heritage,
Yeah.
but it was hard to be.
Yeah, here's Ballad of
Wow,
Kenai.
look at that, Don. Oh,
You have to go through here some of
yeah.
The
Arctic
Hawaii
State
International
rehearsal.
Theater.
the rehearsal schedule.
For which
Right.
show?
This is for
Ballad?
Arctic Free
Oh, for
State.
Arctic Free State.
This is for Arctic Free
Here's
State.
Hello, Dolly. Gordon.
This is for Ballad. Ballad of Kenai Revised 1981.
Music Man
$6
rehearsal schedule.
Boy, I'll tell you, there's all kinds of stuff there.
And notice
Mhm.
they don't put, and this is an interesting little detail. There's no end time.
I mean, end time where?
Oh. Rehearsal's over at.
Oh.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's rehearsal's over when I say it's over.
Yeah.
1983.
Oh, you have school tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I guess you want to pick that energy up a little bit and
yeah.
get those lines down finally.
Yeah,
And maybe
yeah,
in
yeah,
an
yeah.
hour or two you can go
Here's
home.
some chapter 2.
The only time my father ever let us lay our head down and sleep in his class was after a rehearsal. I was in 8th grade.
It is Snooslip.
Yeah,
Snooslip.
she was no good, but neither was I. I can still see Patrick doing that. Do you have a program for?
Ballad of Kenai to
No,
Kalamazoo.
Chapter 2.
I knew you was no good, but neither was I, sings Pat Malone. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Pat's song.
Yeah. Jenny Long.
There he is. Yep. Oh, and there's Shepard with Lisa, who is Cindy, and Alec, who is Mike Shepard, and that's not in the A91 version.
Really?
That's what I'm saying. It's so weird. I'm trying to. That's why all these scripts. I'm trying to sort them out.
Well, we need copies of all of this one.
We do. I'm just.
Well, this is all script right there.
Here's a mailer.
Mm-hmm. Those are
I want us to go back.
contemporary,
I
yeah.
want to go back. a minute.
Okay, there's Pat doing his performance again. Oh, that's the Anchorage News. That's when we did it at the Sidney Lawrence.
Look at those mutton chops.
So you've done some research here for what?
Oh, that's for the lead-in for Music Man.
So
What is a piggin? What's a hogshead? What a cask? What's a demijohn? What's a turf? They're also all those salesmen are talking about that.
right? So you
And
had
so I
Okay.
looked it all up and I took it in and I said, this is what a firkin is. And a ton and a pipe
For Music Man, the first time.
for Music Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Festival American Community Theater. You're a member of the board of directors. I hope that.
Music Man. Where did you have that Music Man program?
Gene Dubin.
5 performances of ballads scheduled.
There it is.
I'm not
There we
keeping
go.
a whole bunch of seconds. Because I'm kind of just going through and doing.
Okay, after we won at the
Yeah, these
at the
are
state
that.
level and regional level, We put it on at the Kenai High Little Theater,
Yeah,
and Homer.
March 4th. Those are all new. This one, January
That's
20th.
that's Frost. That's Mr.
Frost
Interesting.
Jones?
Jones.
Casey.
Casey.
So this would have
Frost
been.
and Casey Jones.
This was May.
Jones right there.
This is May of '81.
January 81.
Here's 81. So this is probably another.
13th, January 20th, January 22nd. I've got a lot of coverage.
Dylan is so funny.
This is Music Man.
With his shirt off? Yeah, yeah.
Murphy.
I'll never forget that.
Wanda was such a beautiful woman.
And you know, he
this
never
gal-
said that. He never said the same thing twice in the
no,
soliloquy.
Yeah.
He got it all in.
You got it all in.
You know, and I was sitting there taking notes. And I would just put my board down when he started, because I knew
No point.
he was not going to have it right. But as long as he got it all in, I was happy.
And yeah, Packy's in bell bottoms. That would not count again.
Fiddler on the Roof brings
Yeah.
large crowd and high praise.
Whoa.
That was 1980.
Brock got the gist of it, and you would be happy if Brock got the gist of it.
Yeah.
But those guys is like,
But you know, the
it's
thing
kind
about
of
it is,
more or
he
less.
got it all in.
Yep, he did.
He really did. He fiddled around with it on the way in, but he got it
Look how
all in.
gorgeous Terry's.
And that was the way
still
Dylan did
gorgeous.
it.
She's still amazing and
Oh,
beautiful.
that is beautiful.
She's coming up
You know,
for Christmas. We're interviewing.
Whenever I would critique him, I'd say, Dylan, thank you. You got it all in. That's fine.
Yeah, that was it.
That's all. That's the only thing
Okay.
I can hope for.
Yeah.
So I think all these are singletons also.
84.
How about that, girls and boys?
Haynes,
Oh my.
I've been there.
Been there, done there, yeah. Arctic Free State.
Well, this is when we did Arctic Free State, because this is '83. We went down 2 years later. It did.
That's when Ralph and I blew through the Canadian border listening to the Cars, Let the Good Times Roll. And we were driving that Ford Econo, no, it was a Chevy, bright orange, Billingsley. Mr. Billingsley. Earl Billingsley Oil Company loaned us the van. Mike and Mary Shepard were driving the sets to Haynes, and Ralphie and I drove to Haynes, and we got separated in Anchorage or somewhere. So we thought we were late behind them, and it was midnight 30 or 1 in the morning, and we were supposed to rendezvous at the big lake in Canada, the first big lake you get there. There's a rest stop. Anyway, we never saw the Canadian border, and because it was late and we were going fast. Well, we were going pretty good. Well, we kind of hung out in Anchorage for a while. About that girl. And so we were catching up. Well, they were actually behind us, as it turns out. And the Canadian Mounties were a little upset that the Americans flew through their border. And I was like, well, we're in a bright orange van. I mean, it's not like we're sneaking. Oh, man.
That is what we saw at the ACFest. That's the program for ACFest when we won.
Wanda Brandy, Dan Sanders was in that cast. Dave, Sasha, Marge, and Ralph Vandell.
Yeah. And so
And here's
after,
the next one. Here's the next one. Free State rehearsal. Free State of the Arctic.
And Arctic Free State.
And Arctic Free State Incorporated.
That's
That's in '83.
we got to take that. Yeah.
Okay, and Patrick did do this logo for the Ballad of Kenai.
Yes.
That was
and
Pat Malone.
He actually made us.
Yeah, I still have that in a frame somewhere. I think it's on the wall.
Free.
Bang!
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, here's the stuff we got from Kalamazoo.
You've got a pencil. Kalamazoo Civic Players.
Is this their the magazine that has you guys?
What is that? I think that's in there. I'm not sure. Kalamazoo College. This is all the stuff we got. from
Charmin, a
Kalamazoo.
6-roll pack of Charmin toilet paper, $1.39. 1989.
I don't know. Is that it? There it is. There it is, right there. Everybody and his brother that flew Alaska Airlines for a whole month or two.
Oh my
Saw
gosh,
that.
both of you, Don and Wanda.
Mhm.
Woo.
Mhm.
That's a great-
Did I tell you I saw her for the first time in 21 years last April?
No.
I stopped in Deming, New Mexico. That's where she lives. Yeah.
Oh, be done.
We had about an hour. We chatted. Had a wonderful time.
Good.
Yeah. Do you remember her daughter, Wendy?
I do very
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Wendy got married to a guy who did sets for the Shakespeareans
Wow. In Oregon?
In
now?
Oregon,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And so
Did she continue dancing and Wendy?
I think she's still doing some theater. She's hanging around with a guy about my age in Silver City, New Mexico.
Huh.
And her husband decided he would work better as a girl.
Okay.
And so her daughter, God bless her, decided she'd work better as a man.
Okay. How's that family
So
tree
I thought,
working out?
what the heck, we'll just trade genitalia.
Yeah.
That kind of blew me away.
Yeah, it might. Goodness gracious. That happened to Linda Sue. Husbands decide they're not.
There's the whiz.
Oh, yeah, okay, then that was a
That's
Carol
more
show. That was,
contemporary.
2008, that was Carol.
That's more.
And Dave had just died in 2002, Dave Forbes. Boy, a lot of these folks have passed. And Sharon Fisher was Sharon Wick. And she's got good stories. My Lord, look at all these people. You have a ticket.
We have a copy of this one? Stuff on the arm?
I don't know, probably do, but
Okay.
There's a bunch of them.
Terry Keevy was performing with us. She was beautiful. We had Soprano, Barbara Peterson. Oh, and Sheila Bierman. She sang.
Voice.
Yep. Mark, Linda Jarvie, Valerie, Rachel Gray. Goodness.
This is all Haynes stuff.
That. Yes.
Oh my.
When we landed in Haynes with that DC-3,
I've got pictures.
everybody
of you guys.
was there dancing.
You guys got
all the
off
other
there.
theater people were there. There's no business like show business as we got off the DC-3.
Okay,
Amazed that you managed
this is
to
a
land.
really old one from Illinois. This is 1957. That looks pretty
Oh, that's
delicate.
mine.
Yeah, pretty delicate. You don't
That
want to
came
take
from.
Well, I'm snagging stuff off of this pile, you know.
Yeah, whatever you need there. I
Well,
don't
we've
know.
already got a bunch of chronology, so
Yeah,
that
need that.
Do you have a Brigadoon
No,
no.
or the Wiz?
no. You get those all copied. Rita may have done some of these too. I think Brigadoon, she was on board.
How about my favorite year?
No, we don't have my favorite year. I remember that one. Disaster Twister. Kalamazoo.
Here's all the ticket receipts.
That's from the Kiski.
Thanks for the. Oh yeah.
19.
I did something.
How about the Sound of Music?
No, that's current.
Oh.
2002.
How about that?
You got lots of good stuff done.
Hello, Dolly. Finally.
There it is. Did you put a year on it?
Is that 59 or 99?
I don't know.
You've been in that
Cliff
time.
Bouchard, and he's one we could talk to. And Stephanie, they'd be. Oh, you could talk to Doug and Jodine. They were in a lot of these early ones. Joe Jolly, Georgia
Here's about the
Jolly,
whiz.
Cool beans. Yvette, Anna. Oh Lord, look at these, look at
You
these.
have the pink catalog.
Is this all script right here, Don?
That's all script.
Yeah. Phil, do you want script from those?
That's rehearsal. That's
I just
Free
want
state.
valid scripts.
Is that
and-
valid script or?
there's part of it.
All right.
Look through it. There's,
I will.
there's a lot of here. There's a lot of
Info.
Free State of the Arctic.
This is Lorene's handwriting. Look at that. Everything was, and see, this is how we got information. We took it off checks. And we had to write it down, and Barb Peterson did all the house info. This is 1982.
There's Dolly.
Cool.
Rehearsal notification.
Okay, now, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're being taped. Talk, you guys. Talk.
I know it's a lot of shuffling.
Yes. We need interesting stuff, not shuffling.
Well,
Do it.
my memory is not very good.
Okay, Don, what else do you remember that's going to be pertinent to our history line, historical timeline?
Other than the lower 48 people aren't going to understand.
And that's a given. We know that.
Well, this is,
25.
we can, well, partly we don't want this history for us, but the anecdotes and
Are you referring to valid primarily?
primarily, but I intend, that's what I was saying is the foyer, I have tried to do this on several occasions and, you know, directing those big musicals is sort of time consuming. You can't do all of it anymore. You know, you have a cast of 40 or 50 people at various skill levels. So you're trying to make your show. So things like the house and all that, you just have to turn it over and, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to do this.
Oh, this is okay. Some things don't often happen necessarily the way you would want them to happen. Is that a polite way of saying it? I didn't get what I wanted. And is that? That's not the word. So, but this time I will. I will have exactly what I want. It will be what I want. From walking in to leaving, the whole thing will be the way I want. And so part of that will be the foyer with histories of Joe and Edie and pictures and, hey, just some of the photos I was sharing with them that the Homesteader kids have put together a Facebook page called Growing Up on the Kenai. And the sequel to Once Upon the Kenai. And so there's lots of photos and pictures of breakup. I mean, people don't know what breakup. They don't know that the highway down Kenai was significantly higher than all the surrounding property, and it wasn't until whenever they did that.
I was looking through some of my slides the other night, and down my road, you know, it's a really nice blacktop road. My 74 van is sitting in front of a huge expanse of water and gravel road for a long ways down.
Yeah.
Everything was gravel, and of course the snow is melting, and it's just, you know, it's too.
And we walked in.
Yeah,
You couldn't get in, so you had to park your vehicle and walk in. Yeah. The school bus would pick you up and
and
drop
so
you
that
off.
was,
Yeah.
you know, that I just saw that the other day.
And you just took it in stride. You didn't think of it as being a big
Yeah.
deal. It was just, breakup.
So the city of Kenai, in its infinite wisdom, decided to put in the sewer and water situation. So what they did is they came down the road and they tore up the road because they put the water line in on the opposite side, right down the middle of the road. So that whole summer, my patients had to walk in from the dump because they had
Progress.
Progress,
all that gravel right on the road. They couldn't even get to me.
right here.
So then, the very next summer, they came through and put in a sewer
Mm-hmm.
and dumped everything on the road. So all my patients had to walk in from the dump again. So, and the reason this happened is back before this all started, is I had a federal guy come into the office and said, "Can I take a sample of your water?" And I said, "Sure you can." So he did, and he said, "That's kind of odd." He says, "Because the well that feeds all of Wildwood subdivision right outside the military base," he said, "that's got an awful lot of arsenic in it, but yours doesn't. And it's only, 500 feet away." I thought that was very interesting. So I went on about my business. And golly, it wasn't about a month later, the city manager, assistant city manager, Ed Gotfelty was the manager. I can't remember who the guy was. But anyway, he comes into the office and he said, "Yeah, we're going to have water and sewer coming through here." And he says, "Yeah, Ed and I salted that well with arsenic." They salted that well with arsenic so they
that
could
they
force
could force
the
the
city
city to push
to
it.
force the city to get water and sewer out to Wildwood. He said that to me right in front of God and everybody.
Oh, why are we
So
not
I
surprised?
know a few skeletons
Yeah.
laying around. It's very interesting. So
Those were the
out there where
days.
I am, they if I hadn't been the only chiropractor in the whole peninsula, I'd have been dead in the water,
So to speak.
Now there's 15.
Yes.
And so, I know a little bit about this. And so here's the upshot of it. Eventually they paved it. And then they came along and people cut into the water line and sewer line and all that sort of thing, so it messed it up. So they decided to put in, new road and storm sewers and the whole works. So they do. And they go before the city council and Bookie or somebody, I think it was Bookie, said, "Geez, how come it's so rolly?" He said, "How come you couldn't get it straight?" And they're going, "Because we have storm sewers, and they want the water to run down to it. So it goes like this, and the low part is where the storm sewer is." And this is a city council member that didn't know that. If you drive down that street,
I'm thinking about it. I drive down there all the time.
it's going to be like this, and that's why it is. There's a storm sewer at the bottom of each low spot, and the city council member who voted on this to put it in
You got a book.
didn't know that.
Um,
That's the kind of thing that goes on in the city of Kenai.
Or
And the city attorney was a member of the organization, the corporation, the only one that was okayed by the city to cut into the streets when they put sewer and water in. That was Tim Rogers.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was part of the corporation
Tim
that,
Rogers.
that okayed that. Okay,
I remember
so
that.
I know a little bit about these things. That's
Right
what
here.
happens in Kenai.
The Great Metropolis.
Look at that, I got a pencil. Chilcoot Agency, Skagway. Yeah, this is stuff for history. Dance concert, 2005.
well, that's mine.
Yep. Did you have this part of Bigadoo? That's
Well,
the
actually, I
program.
may have. I shouldn't say no.
Oh, I don't think he has this either. The Ravens place.
No,
Now we
I
have it.
I
We've
saw
got it
the
right here.
yeah I saw the
But
and there's
that's the program for it.
some
It was a
notes that you
reading.
made for it.
It was a reading.
Huh. I don't know this one.
That's the audition sheet.
'96.
Here's a Kenai high school thing.
Is that Murphy?
Get smart.
That's Murphy. Some of the best shows. You were the stage manager?
Oh, there's a secret garden thing.
Even with my glasses, I can't read this. This is font 1.
That's the Kenai.
Oh, yeah, that was
Danny Schmidt.
Carol's over at the Kenai Visitor Center. Mhm. Mhm.
Well, there's a secret garden. I was in that, by the way.
Oh, there's Alden Ford. Look at that.
Here's Pier 175 summer season.
What year was it?
75.
25. Oh,
Music Man.
This is-
Oh, I
That's
remember
our
that.
essay.
Boy, howdy do I remember that.
Doesn't-
Brad Hughes did this. Wow.
With Readout Orchestra, Robert Richardson conductor. Now that's like
West
must have
Side
been
Story?
before Kenai Peninsula Orchestra. Readout Orchestra was a smaller version, I think.
Mm.
And I bet you by this time
1975.
Bob had already moved to home. It doesn't have a year though, but we can figure that out.
Yeah, that was in Anchorage.
All kinds of wonderful things.
All kind of wonderful things. That's amazing.
Yeah, those are
Yeah,
scripts.
yeah.
So
Free state of the art
Yeah.
for rehearsal or something.
And Tier 1 travel plan.
that is this. We might even have redundancies, but still, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want Arctic Free State. Or
I would
Free
like to
State.
make copies of
Okay.
everything for the organizational history.
Okay.
Because
I don't know if we got a big enough
on the
box.
organizational history and be
I don't know
okay.
if I got a big enough box here for you or not.
I have a crate in my truck. I can,
You don't need this.
Mm-mm.
those
That's
are-
about the only stuff that's. Yeah, all of this is a gold mine.
yes, it is. And thank you for having.
Well, I saved it just for this moment.
yeah, I'm sure, but it was bound. Well,
Well,
hopefully
you know,
it was
if
going to
it's
happen.
if it's used, if it's taken care of, that's what I want.
Yeah,
well, that's
exactly.
that's what didn't happen on a couple of our moves, and
The big move, it was thrown in the dumpster.
and that
What a shame.
yes,
What a shame.
yes,
Yep.
it was people thinking that they had invented the organization and they would remember and that sort of thing without realizing that there was quite a bit more history and they're part of a bigger
They just didn't care.
longitudinal thing.
There's just a lack of. What is that little dude up there?
It's a great one.
That's a little gray.
That's a Dolly Varden.
That's a Dolly Varden.
It's just a really dark colored one. I
Yeah.
got that over at Pear Lake over across the inlet.
Tasty little butter.
So, let's transition to
What's the
you.
timing on this?
A year from about today.
A year?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, November, because they'd already committed to the big show, and I don't want to compete against ourselves. And I'm having, like I said, I'm having to come up with the script, and that's a little harder.
do you have an original script from the original?
No, from the 75? No,
Sasha doesn't have any of that.
he may.
Okay, we
But
haven't
because
found
Lance-
every time he comes up here, he's
Yeah.
really having to spend most of his time Meal
Just-
on Wheels, making accommodations and tending to his folks.
So Sasha's around town. I mean,
No,
he's
he's
here.
in
Just-
Colorado,
Oh,
Sporadically.
and he's been coming up as to deal with and help Barb and Lance.
okay.
And when he comes up, we have met a couple of times. The last time he was just too busy. He has found the box. There's a very interesting program in these things.
What does he do down there?
He is a climate specialist, I guess. I'm trying to help people figure out how to cope with the climate change issues. I'm not sure on that.
Denver?
I don't believe he's in Denver. He's close to maybe what's the other one?
Boulder?
Springs.
Colorado.
Colorado Springs?
Is it Colorado Springs where the base is? I think that's where he might be. Office ones. So I can take a picture of this and then I save it and I'll put it as a PDF. Or I can make it a Word document and I can actually then edit. So that's what we're going to do is photo all these things, and it's time consuming and do that.
But
And-
they will be preserved regardless. Of
well,
anything
some of
else.
them, and now I see if you want, and I would ask, like I've saved one of Evenson's lithographs, of originals, that was sitting on the floor in the back getting sort of wet at the studio. I said, well, you guys don't understand, I'll take that. So I have that, and I want that in our new theater. There's going to be one little room, probably about the size of this kitchen and dining room, maybe a little bigger, just by design. And there's going to be a loft because we have to have the bathroom. So we're going to put a loft. That'll be the costume room. That's it. And so for that little foyer, I want to have all the old posters that we can get, and of course, even some lithographs of even the dancers, Peninsula dancers. Even though it's a Kenai Performer.
Yeah, they've been part of it.
Right, because that's our history, and I want that to be. We can honor all the new guys. That's fine. I don't care about that so much as making sure we know our roots.
Yeah, and between you and Shyla and Lorene, I think the earlier years will be covered.
Well, and
With
we already
documentation.
found 3 or 4 programs
Yeah.
that give us a timeline that's very
Yeah,
invaluable.
Yeah, so you get your time off of that.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, because my memory might not be great on each year.
Mine is atrocious.
Yeah, and you know that the irony is, Dad was like well, it's 3:00 in the afternoon on August 7th, 1948, and I had this conversation with so and so, and he was wearing.
Yeah, not me.
Okay, Dad, cool. Let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Dad never let anything go. He stewed on stuff for decades, and I'm like,
I can do that sometimes, depending on how important it was. A lot of stuff that wasn't that important.
yeah, well, you know, he didn't let much go. It's just too bad for him. He did better when he got older.
Yeah.
He still remembered it, but he just didn't grit his teeth and growl. So, no, that was. Now, are all these roads, people living down these roads? Neighbors?
Zorba the Greek lives right across the street from me.
Really?
Zorba
Greg-
across from Tibia,
Greg-
I think
Greg
that's
Zorba.
only.
Greg Zorba.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, but there's houses all the way down.
And
Yeah.
are Robert still intact, or did anybody?
What do you mean?
The barometers out.
Oh, there's some robbers back there.
You're still,
Yeah.
yeah, nobody's messed with those.
Yeah.
Is that still? That's still. Did you sell any of this 5? It's all intact.
Oh, that's all in there.
So yeah, I think
And
those are
then
on
we
your
got,
property.
Sean Brown bought right
Oh,
next door to
did
me. And he retired after 38 years from Tesoro.
Yeah.
It's the only job he ever had.
I grew up in
And,
Sean. He
he's right
graduated
next
with-
door. They just built a nice house. They got a shop before that. And then there's a house over here, and they put in behind me, they put a cul-de-sac.
Oh,
There's a
wow.
cul-de-sac back here. Yeah, it's Cunningham Circle.
Oh, how we
Okay.
done?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Her estate was
they're
finally
just
sold.
behind me. And of
someday.
course, you see this little house up here.
Mhm.
Of all the places to buy, he buys this, and it's a little
Weird wedge.
it's a little dinky thing. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. He buys the smallest piece and builds a little house there. It's a nice little house.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's just a dandy. And he lives down in Farmington, New Mexico. And they wanted to come up here, and he wanted to work for the oil patch. Well, that's over with. So this thing is sitting here like this.
Oh, I'll be done.
And the power line is like this. And our easement is 5 feet on either side of this. And it's 20 feet from here to the telephone pole.
So he lined everything up. Yeah,
And he's got a house here, but his property goes over here,
that is
and you can pee across it.
Weird.
his little slice of heaven. I
Okay.
mean, that's
It's a nice
I
little
keep
house.
nagging Bud
And
and
they're
Miller
gonna
for
put-
the 5 acres down by Willie next to.
they're going to redo the whole road, and they're going to put a bike path.
So now he's
So
Oh,
they're going
Lord.
to take some more line.
It's going to be right in his front yard then. It's really swampy on
Well,
there.
they've decided it's
Swamp
going to be on this
above.
side. So it's going to go right to my friend Chris Garcia's
I was
front
going to
yard.
say, yeah, Garcia, and then the next
It's
they're
gonna
going
go
to lose
right
a
through,
big strip,
yeah,
and
right to
Bud
their
Lost
front yard.
it. We'll lose.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, Bud's place.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
going to be
And
exciting.
we need that bike path because
well, Unity.
what?
Well, they're going to fix it up, and then the city's going to
Of
take it
course.
from the state.
Of course.
I just assumed maybe it was the state, to be honest with you.